let's get to it, shall we, chat? Blue-green Merfolk. So Historic Anthology 2 brought with us a Lorwyn Merfolk staple here. We've got other Merfolk creature you control get 1/1. When you cast a Merfolk spell, you may tap or untap target permanent. And we've got a bunch of great Ixalan staples here. So we've got Merfolk Mistbinder as other lords. So we've got 2 reasonable lords. So let's go ahead and play. Let's go ahead and dive into some matches and see how it goes. He actually plays Overwatch himself. So we play a lot of Nintendo Switch, so he's much better with a controller than not. So we have a Steam controller that he plays. We have a Steam controller that he plays Overwatch with on the PC. Jacob hasn't been too into games, but the last couple of times that we've played the Lego Switch games, he's been interested and asked to play along. So we like switch off together. Yes, Reejerey letting you untap your lands, effectively making your Merfolk cheaper, is also great. Yeah, Martin Yuza was playing this list on stream. I think he was playing it in best of 1, so the sideboard was just a bunch of 1-ofs. But yeah, core came from him. I think I want to power up the Deeproot Elite to kind of discourage them from killing my lord here. I actually had a Twitch sub mail me the Steam controller. They heard me talking about Declan. They were like, "You want this?" I have it sitting on my desk. I was like, "Yeah, sure." Cashing in some shillings to bump up Jund Dinos in the queue. Sounds excellent. Yikes. Well then, at least Brain Maggot implies that they're not likely to have another sweeper. They're not likely to have sweepers, I suppose. Kumena here was a good draw, obviously. If you Trickster Maggot, do you get your card back? You do. So Brain Maggot is not 2 separate triggers. This is what's called a delayed trigger. So the thing that's giving you your card back is something that happens when the original trigger happens, not when it dies. It doesn't have a separate dies trigger. So for example, if you had, in the event of something like Spell Queller, Trickster would deny getting you your card back, but this card is templated differently than that. Sigil of the Empty Throne, another Historic Anthology card here, as well as Brain Maggot. If you cast an enchantment, get a 4/4 angel. It's definitely a small nuance that's not super intuitive. Reejerey was part of Historic Anthology 2. I think we're dead here, huh? Yeah. Scryel, thank you for the 17 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. The just incredible variety in this format is just so super refreshing. Coming from the piles of Tefrees and Brazen Borrowers in Standard. Yeah, so chat, like, again, people think, why is there one Mist-Cloaked Herald in my board? I guess it actually seems okay here. Maybe I want some of these in the main deck. It could be possible. For people that are like, Jeff, you weren't dead on board, you had attacks, chat, they still had cards in their hand. And, like, they were going to trade off, and they were going to play a bunch of stuff that was going to make more angels. So, like, I get it. Like, that turn, it's not over, but, like, we're not winning that game. For people in chat that are saying the game wasn't over, I disagree with your assessment. That's why I conceded. Especially the person that just said Reejerey means that game wasn't over, because they literally, the line that was being suggested was attack and trade with my Reejerey. That was the suggestion. So, like, you know. Merfolk! How's it going, Professor? Hope you're staying safe out there on the left coast. Now this is a hand where Reejerey's really gonna shine. This can not only tap things, but it also untaps things, he says, before it gets exiled. So theoretically, that would have let us spew a bunch of fish into play here. Unfortunately, it's now banished. So you and me both, Professor. You and me both. You could argue I'm semi-professional in self-isolating. All right, dear opponent, don't sweep my board. Hey, diddle diddle, the trickster and the fiddle. Ugh. That was the one thing I asked you not to do, opponent. Yeah, opponent's build is really neat. Oh, they're Absian. Oh, are they playing Black-White Calyx with the what's it called as a win condition? That seems awesome, huh? I bet the green splash is for Calyx. They could have an Enchantress too. Yeah, that's fair. Yes, yeah, this is an enchantment creature. Calyx. Calyx was really impressive in the black-white deck we played in Standard. I'd be kind of surprised if Champion is in their deck, he says, as his opponent casts Champion. Champion alongside Shatter is an interesting choice, especially the Brain Maggots, too. I was kind of caught off guard by this Shatter, based on the volume of creatures that they're playing. Feels dead, man. They knew my flash creature was there from the Brain Maggot. So no, we couldn't have ambushed it because they knew it was there. I feel like I want some more 1-drops. Let's try this again. We played half a match against a brew. Let's play some more games before we make any too crazy of changes. Oh, that does release today, right, Windowhead? I need to finish my dungeon in that. I'm curious what happens at 52 weeks. Someone in Discord linked there was a demo on GOG, I think, for it. If you wanted to try it before you buy it. Well, you know. Oh, it's on Steam too. Sweet. That's a good pickup. A Bone Crusher Giant here. Interested to see how this holds up against Skrull. I feel like our more synergy-based aggro deck is probably going to get picked apart by the removal here. Bone Crushers and Domri's Ambushes, oh my. Their individual card quality is probably a little bit higher than ours. We'll go to 17 here. We'll get to Shock in and go. Mistbinder plus Mist-Cloaked Herald next turn. For people that weren't here the other day, Legends of the Keepers was a roguelite indie game that we played on stream the other day as a sponsored segment. They paid me for an hour. I think we ended up doing almost 90 minutes. Poor Merfolk. Aether Vial. Yeah, that would be... Aether Vial would be a sweet, powerful card that would see play and would again serve to make this format feel distinct from, say, Pioneer. That's a card Pioneer doesn't have access to. What does roguelite mean? I don't know exactly. That's the definition they used. It's a turn-based strategy game. I think roguelite refers to there's progression in it where like you're building up things and acquiring things that like go across levels. It means you get stronger each time. Okay, there. That was my understanding. Maybe I shouldn't have played this. Or attacked with this so I could double block a 3/3. I'm gonna go to 1. Please no Aether Vial. Why, Mikey? I think Vial without Cavern would be fine. Cavern of Souls is the card that should, like, go die in a steaming dumpster fire and never be printed anywhere ever again. I think Aether Vial would be fine. Definitely want to pile Aether Gusts here. I want to trim. I think it's just Mist-Cloaked Herald. I think the unblockable is not super useful. I mostly want to be interactive here. I mean, we have some pre-modern cards, like Ancestral Mask. I think we're going to play Enchantment Aggro tomorrow. Ancestral Mask is a card that, that qualifies. Return to Nature for Cleave. I think that's too narrow. I don't think I can afford to have a card that's only good against exactly Cleave. Ancestral Mass is all that glitters in green. It's +2/+2 though. It's not +1/+1. Does it hit Uro Osler? I mean, well, their red-green aggro deck doesn't play Uro. What's the price point on Legend of the Keepers, by the way? Because they didn't have that listed when I was advertising it. What was their price point at on it? And they obviously sent me a key for advertising purposes. $18? Such an odd price. My math brain likes even numbers. Gosh, that's like a third of a Scalding Tarn, chat. For a third of a Scalding Tarn, you can have an entire game? What is this wizardry? When you think about other purchases in terms of the percentages they give you of Magic cards, they're much easier to stomach in my experience. Oh, it's 20 and it's on sale. Okay, so 10% off. That makes sense. There's a lot of games you could have for the price of Skull. Yeah, basically any of them. $75 for Doom. AAA games. So, we're going to play another Lord. We're going to Aether Gust this Lovestruck Beast. We're going to smash. Yeah, that's the right play still. Because I can play this for 5 mana next turn, even if I don't draw another Merfolk. Legends of the Keepers. If you want to see me play a little bit of it from the start, you can find the video archive on my YouTube channel. It's closer to 90 USD. let's say it depends on the price, Punchworthy. If it's like $100 game, no. If it's like a $20 game, yes. So, do I Gust Pelt Collector and smack them? Or do I just like Silvergill smack you for 2 unblockable? Probably Gust Pelt Collector smack them. Because if they want to double block my Mistbinder, they take 5, go to 1, and then I have an unblockable 1 in play. No, I've never played that one, Occam Knife. How much you AAA consultations? Yeah, brand new Switch games are usually like 50 to 60 bucks, depending on if you get a deal on them. I think I actually like this more than Speaker here. Actually, I think I like it more than Biomancer. Biomancer's probably a little bit expensive to like get value out of it. I just like rather have a bigger threat for less mana. Another Knife Cat stream. Oh, Skyrim. Is Skyrim too dark to play with my 4-year-old? There's a real question. I forget, it's been a while. I forget how much blood is in that game. It's rated M, right? I feel like that one's got to be rated M. I have Skyrim on the Switch. Lands are a little awkward here. Tricky Dick's probably pretty good, especially with this. It can buy me a lot of time. Let's do this. It's been a long time since I even thought about video game ratings, right? Oh, yeah, the finishing animations are always were brutal. We just go double 1-drop here, huh? Especially because this one will be a 3/3, which can trade with Zerta Goblin or eat the Pelt Collector, which is nice. If we can hit a land that's untapped next turn and get to like curve Reejereys out here, we could probably tempo them out of this game. That's terrifying. Do they want to trade 3/3 for 3/3 here? They're probably debating if they want to trade with the Pelt Collector. Wow, that's aggressive. Wonder if the Elves attacking 2 is a misclick. I've had success with Distant Melody to refill my hand in the grindier matchups. Are a couple of those worth considering over Trickster? I think putting cards like Distant Melody in this deck is assuming the incorrect role in those types of matchups. I think your goal against decks that are going long with this deck is not to play for the long game. The goal should be to kill them before you get to the long game. Alright, don't shock me, bro. Untapped land. Untapped land. Untapped land. Untapped land. Oh, crap. You're super right. This lets me... Gosh, I could have had this in play. So, that still doesn't let me do what I wanted to do. So what I wanted to do was, I wanted to be able to play this and this turn to like gust this and then Trickster down this. We've got a lot of tempo in our hand here, though, so, like... So, the goal with that line... you're right, I could technically make both those plays. Let me fully articulate. I can't make both of those plays without... I can't make both of those plays with... Oh, God, this is gross. I can't make both of those plays without letting them draw a card with Hedge, which is what I'd like to avoid. So we do this. We power this up. And then I do this. And do this. I probably should have put a counter on something that was attacking this turn. So if we don't get, like, shocked off the top of their deck here, which is possible because this is going to draw them cards, we're in a pretty good spot here. I'm glad this game is happening regardless if we win or lose. It's kind of highlighting some of the real power of Merfolk Reejerey here. They're dead, right? Because this is 4. Yeah, they're just dead. This was really impressive. Right? This is 10, 8, 6, 10, 14, 19. Like, that was super slick. Reejerey is sweet. Yeah, why would I trade with the questing beast though when we could just kill them? Oh, that was great. That's great. Reejerey's a powerful card. I feel like Reejerey made this deck more agile by adding a little tempo to it. What do you think, chat? I know a lot of you are working from home, so you currently have a lack of corporate buzzspeak in your life. So I feel like I need to try and make up for that here. Yeah, really makes the deck synergistic. Agile, very agile synergy. How long we been for? About half an hour. About half an hour. Plenty of fish to go. Gone fishing. Do 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 do. Thank you for showing off why this deck has been a staple in all formats. Hey, Mazria, thank you for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. You know, I actually, one of the decks I kind of thought of, I'm thinking about playing on Saturday. We played a Merfolk deck in Pioneer that felt pretty good with Collected Company. I kind of wouldn't mind running that one back. We'll see. I'm gonna play something aggressive. And Merfolk was a pretty reasonable aggressive deck, it felt like last time we played it. And Coco's like a sweet catch-up card. Tireless Tribal, thank you for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Oglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. Cutthroat. Maybe, I don't know. Cutthroat's just really hard to leverage. Oh no. Oh no. So, huh? If I do this, I hit them for 5-8 this turn down to 9. But then they can blow this up next turn, but it kills their search and it puts them down a land. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna smack him. Yeah, we'll put the counter on the 3-drop, exactly. I don't have time to wait around, chat. I just want to kill them. Like the longer this game goes, the less likely I am to win. So I think smack them for 8, make them spend their turn killing their own search and my board. Sounds fine. I think you can go watch us try decks like that in the past, Maricel. Cute decks like that aren't really competitive in Pioneer. The format's really fast and brutal right now. There's a ton of combo. Once upon a time, in a world where... like, mid-range red was one of the best decks in Pioneer, you could be cute like that. But competitive Pioneer, anything remotely competitive, stuff like that just doesn't cut it. There's really no upside. They're just going to activate it and we end up in the same spot. I think the mana base in this archetype doesn't support playing Brazen Borrower. I think you need upwards of... I think the bare minimum number of blue sources for Brazen Borrower is like 15. And I think this deck has like 12 or 13 or something really low. I don't think double blue spells are particularly castable with this card in our mana base. The Pioneer version of this archetype plays Brazen Borrower, and it's very good there. But that format looks a little bit different, and the mana base looks very different with, like, Botanical Sanctum. If I attacked first, I could have drawn a card. Ooh, that's a good catch. I could have untapped my Reejerey. I mean, last I checked, there's a sleep in the sideboard. Yes, there is one sleep in my sideboard. There is one double blue spell that I don't mind casting late into the game when I'm very likely to have my blue sources, as opposed to a 3-mana tempo creature that I'm often going to be looking to play on curve. So when you're looking to cast your spells dictates how castable they are. So this, I don't need to cast on 4. That's not the norm. Counter spells in... How many Aether Gust do I want? It's a real question. Merfolk Trickster also seems not good. I think I want to just trim some of my 2s and diversify my converted mana costs a little bit. What do we think about this? This is still 30 creatures. I'm boarding in this many pieces of interaction. Actually, is this better than Kumena? It might be. This is legendary. I don't really want to be drawing cards. Oh yeah, Return to Nature is probably better than Aether Gust, actually. Would I rather cut all the Kumenas? What if I did that? This is 28 creatures. 28 creatures is probably plenty. This is 4, 5, 6, 9 pieces of interaction. That seems fine. Yeah, let's do that. This hand's more than good. It's great. 1, 2, 3. It's just fishermanry. Biomancer B. Jade Light Ranger. You can play more Vineshaper Mystics. Or round out the full playset of 1-drops. That's not a noobish question at all. And to answer your question, yes. So if you are able to count Unclaimed Territory as a blue source for your spell, this deck has 18 blue sources in it, which 18 blue sources is enough to cast a blue-blue spell consistently on 2 thereabouts. If you're not familiar with mana math, this article by Frank Carson is kind of considered like the mana math Bible. It gives you a quick spreadsheet reference if you're not familiar with hypergeometric distribution calculations. So I think my plan here is we'll go Reejerey next turn, and then the following turn we'll Vineshaper, and then when we cast Vineshaper, we'll untap a land, and then we'll be able to fart this in response to this, so that way we'll get to draw 2, discard 2 with this on turn 4, which is great. You play a lot of limited because you like mana math. Can you explain that? Because I guess when playing limited, you do it more often, but the actual computations that you're doing in limited with regards to mana math tend to be very rudimentary and basic in my experience. Like, you're just working with basic lands. It's just a quick proportion. Whereas, like, in Constructed, the depth of, like, how many different things you're considering and which lands you're playing to get your mana sources tends to have a lot going on with it. Sure, Cube is a different subset of Limited. When people say Limited, usually they mean, like, Booster Draft. Cube is a specialty Limited format. It's not the norm. Blaststone is just so disgustingly good in the opponent's archetype, especially with Wilderness Reclamation. Just super, super powerful. Yeah, Nexus is legal. Nexus, Field of the Dead, and Green Leyline are all legal in this format. Hey, Caesar, thanks for 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I don't know what Kupla is. Instead of me telling you you're wrong, tell me why you're right. Tell me why you think Kupla is fast enough for the control matchups. Tell me what it does that you think makes it worthwhile. Sure, but like all of those things like apply to Constructed too, right? And then like the actual mana part of it has more depth as well. They have blast zones on 1 and 3 here. I agree with you that deck building is often the best part of Magic. No, I'm going to pump them both up. They can't blow up both of them. So. Okay, yeah, quantity more than quality makes sense. It's an apt comparison. And in Constructed, you're usually sticking on a deck. So, like, while the computation is harder or has more variables to it, you're doing it less often once you get it right. So this can give itself a 1/1 counter, right? Each of up to 2 target Merfolk. It doesn't say another target Merfolk. Spell Pierce looking pretty terrible here in the face of their infinite mana and Wilderness Reclamation. Sure, I understand what the card does, Sword Slick. But for example, I would encourage you to identify problems and solutions. So for example, when I'm playing this deck that I'm currently playing, I would estimate that my biggest issue with the control matchup is the fact that they have sweeper effects in their deck. So I'd be kind of surprised if like, that's a problem I'm looking to solve, basically. So they're probably going to blow this up inside of combat. I'm going to cast Deeproot pre-combat here, so that way it gets to untap my land. So here's the problem, Anti-Trumpet. Their very first take there is hopefully any sick kitchen staff will get paid leave and not be there. How do you take leave if you don't know you're someone that's spreading COVID? That's the part you don't understand, or like I feel like no people aren't talking about, or like don't get from the part of the discussion about this. So again, tell me, is this wrong? My understanding, and there's a lot of misinformation out there, so maybe this is wrong. My understanding of COVID-19 is that you can be asymptomatic and still be spreading it. Is that not the case? Is that understanding incorrect? If you are asymptomatic, can you spread it? That is 100% the case. So yes, so all of these, it's probably safe. It's nothing to worry about. Like, I feel like that is minimizing the severity of what's going on. In my opinion, the reason why getting takeout food right now is irresponsible is because you are giving yourself a vector of being exposed for a single meal, or maybe 2 meals if you have leftovers. Obviously, you need to eat, but if you go to the grocery store and get a week or 2 weeks worth of meals, a week or 2 weeks worth of meals, you're exposing yourself for a bunch of meals opposed to anti-Trump. And you need to think critically about this. So it currently seems that COVID can't be transmitted through food directly, but your food comes in a plastic or a paper container, and it comes in a paper bag. Those are vectors of transmitting. So again, that's what you need to think about. So you're saying I need to order 10 pizzas? Sure. But you aren't exposing yourself for a lot more people at a grocery store than through a food order? I mean, do people actually go into grocery stores? You can order your groceries for pickup at most places I know. So you actually never have to go into the store, and a person can push a shopping cart out to you and walk away from it. And you actually never come into distance with people. Every grocery store in Bloomington where I go pretty much has that as an option. And I understand that some of them are almost certainly overloaded right now, but my understanding is that they're supposed to be getting back into the normal stocking of things sometime soon. But again, even with that, trying to justify there's lower risks of contact getting every meal through takeout versus getting a bunch of meals at the grocery store, that's just silly. It's just silly. Yeah, and I'm telling you that I feel like that is not thinking critically about this. And I'm dissecting what is presented there, Trumpet, and giving my point of view based on my understanding of the information. How do I normally get to Mythic? We get to Mythic every season playing decks that people pay me to play. Yeah, I think we're dead here. If they take another turn, I'm going to concede. I guess they're at 24. We're probably dead regardless. Take game 3 on the play. The aggro mantra. Take game 3 on the play. Like, so many, the number of people in chat between the last few days we've been talking about this have just been like, but Jeff, the studies show that food can't transmit it without thinking about the container and the device in which it's being carried, just like is kind of mind-boggling. That's actually, we talked about someone got really upset and sent me an email. Sent me an email because they were upset because I told them they were irresponsible ordering lots of takeout, because you are if you're ordering lots of takeout right now, in my opinion. I like how anti-Trumpet, you know what, you can just totally just bugger off. There's just so many people. Like, I like how you got upset and you're like, you're yelling at me. I'm just having a discussion with you. You didn't, if you don't want to go back and forth and talk about and dissect what they said, you're not actually doing what you wanted to do. You just wanted to show up in here and plop your link down and say, Jeff, you're wrong. And then when I try and sit here and have a good faith discussion with you about why I disagree with what you're saying, you're like, whoa, I'm tapping out. Don't yell at me. Like, I'm not yelling, I'm talking, and we're trying to discuss the merits of what you're suggesting. And if you didn't want to actually discuss the merits of it, you just wanted to come in here and say, hey, Jeff, you're wrong. Here's a link. Let's not think about it. You're wrong. To which I have to say is, no, stop it. Think critically. Have a discussion. Like, if you think I'm yelling, your volume's too high. Correct. This is my speaking voice. This is just how I talk, chat. The, oh no, you're being mean to me because you didn't want to just cave, and say, yes, you're right. You might be right, but let's have a discussion about it. Instead of just saying, Jeff, you're being mean, tell me why I'm wrong. Explain to me. I'm wrong all the time. Ask my wife. But if you want to tell me I'm wrong, let's talk about it and explain why. You think food containers are handled more than plastic bags or containers at the grocery store? Serious question. I did not say that, nap time. So again, if you listen to the fucking words that are coming out of my mouth, what I said is that grocery stores or takeout are both vectors of transmission. And what I am saying is the truth, which is that if you have a transmission vector for 1 or 2 meals, that is more risk for every couple of meals than if you go get a week or 2 weeks worth of groceries. So I am not saying that the grocery store is risk-free and strictly better because of that. What I am saying is the number of times you're exposing yourself is more minimized. And when I go out and get groceries, I'm gonna be careful and wipe them down and make sure that before packages come into my house where my pregnant wife is, they either sit in my car for a few days, or if they're refrigerated stuff or frozen stuff, I wipe them down before putting them away. Sorry for the swear word. Apologies to the children who are at home, or parents watching with children. Like, they just like, you just need to understand the details here. Like, it's so mind-boggling that they just don't get it. They just, like, desperately want to eat takeout and want to justify it in any way possible. Look, I get it. I feel for you, chat. Before this, I ate takeout double-digit times per week on average. You can do it. I believe in you. You can survive this without your takeout for a few months. Punished for not leading on the breeding pool here. Legion War Boss wasn't something I was thinking about. Also, if you're worried about eating healthy, chat, trust me, you can stock up on potato chips and things that contain peanut butter at the store and eat just as much garbage as you're used to from eating takeout. Okay? I believe in you. You can adapt your garbage eating lifestyle to how you eat at home. Fewer, not even per calorie, fewer points of contact per meal. That's the basis here. Fewer points of contact per meal should be the goal. Yes, risk mitigation is, yeah. Yeah, I think we're dead here. We were on the draw and they ran us down pretty quickly. Your grandparents were called to go to war. You're being called to sit on the couch. I believe in you, chat. You can do it. And to anybody out there currently who's being called to do more than that, people who are working in those grocery stores, people who are doctors and are nurses, genuinely thank you for your service. You're doing something incredible right now. And to everybody else that's saying you can't sit home, damn it. There are people out there who don't have the option to do that, and they need you to stay at home so they have less risk in their lives. All right, so they're like a Naya deck, mostly green-red, some kind of white splash. Bunch of Aether Gust sounds good. Herald was actually pretty good last time. This is hard to pump up with. Just trim like this, I think that's what I did last time. Being thanked for my hospital and gas station service feels better than any time I was thanked while being in the Navy. It's an interesting comparison. Starting tomorrow, the base that I'm on is going to start commencing proper social distancing practices. They're putting out tape in dining facilities to properly space soldiers out, and then we'll grab and go. That's good. Thanks for the 26 months unit. I wouldn't be here without you. Yeah, this is good. I keep this. We're definitely going 1, 2, 3 here. The question is, would I rather have Vineshaper as a follow-up or Aether Gust? I think because I'm on the play here, I'm going to bottom the Aether Gust. I think if I was on the draw, I'd keep the interaction, but hopefully I'm just going to get to curve out here on the play and run them down. Let's not even joke about that. Quran, please and thank you. Nice shamans. Yeah, it was a good one. Except for the year I spent in Mosul, most of my overseas government experience was far, far less dangerous than our Americans who collect our garbage. Yep. Bant blink for Mikey. Sounds good, Coons. Alright, so they should be, like, super dead here, huh? Our plan of, like, be aggressive on the play here, looking like it's gonna be... Woo! You love to see it, chat. You love to see it. So I get to diddle this... And then they're forced to jump block with the Legion War boss. All right, I think I'm happy with how I boarded. How we mulligan will be a little bit different on the draw here, but happy with the game plan. A good example of what our proactive draw can do here. The sleep only come in against Field of the Dead. Yeah, or people who are more mid-rangey, creature decks. Anything that you expect to gum up the board on you, sleep should be good against. I feel like while my opponent's deck is playing to the board, by the time the board is full, they're probably winning the game. Thalia. Okay. I'm kind of surprised they have Thalia in against us. Thalia makes sense on what they're splashing for, but I feel like against a tribal deck, she should probably come out post board for them, huh? Yeah, I guess it's a 2-1 first strike. God, I can't even imagine how awful chat would be right now if we weren't in sub only. cannot even fathom. Actually, I'm probably supposed to put a counter here, huh? Spread that out a little bit. Italy now has more reported deaths than China, and the USA is 10 to 20 days behind them with 6x the population. Yep. An authoritative dictatorship is probably better equipped to handle something like this than the type of mindset we have here. You need people on a lockdown in situations like this. The number of people who are just like, it's America, I'm gonna do what I want, cause freedom, beat my chest, shoot my guns. Like, it's been disgusting. Of course, Marty. Of course they knew. The GOP isn't stupid, they're just evil. How greedy would it be to flash in Trickster, tap Thalia, and then draw a card here? I'd take 4 to do that. Is going to 7 worth drawing a card? I think it is. Well, if I put the counter on the Elite, it would still die, because this makes their thing a 2-2. Reejerey plus Tricky Dick is so good. Getting to tap 2 things is gas. Another ambush here. I don't usually, but I can. Feel free to link whatever you're going to put in Discord and chat, too. That's definitely true, Defender of Cats. The lack of transparency from China has been a big issue, especially for the rest of the world, right? Like, trying to get a grip on things all around. They did? No, they have Castle here. So they have a blocker, unfortunately. Because they block a 5, and then they take 9, 12. So I think I just cracked them for 9 here. Yeah, this attack also plays around Settle the Wreckage, which is ideal. This is a white token, yeah, so I can't Aether Gust it either. I think this archetype's probably pretty reasonable. This card was a big pop. I just can't stop singing the praises of everything they're doing with this format. From the ban list management to the anthology injections, like, it's just so... In the US, I imagine Trump has done more damage than anything in China. That's probably fair. I think that's probably a fair assessment. I think Trump's downplaying of this from the start will likely cause more damage than anything China did. Non-rotating formats are the lifeblood of Magic. They're what keep it going. It's amazing what a little bit of format management can do, BSQ, right? Seems great. That's fair, but I mean, to also be appropriately place blame where it belongs, part of the reason why Fox News downplayed this was because Trump was downplaying this. Like, Fox News often is lockstep, falls in line behind glorious leader. Yeah, looks like Nexus again. So let's count the damage output here. If I played this, I hit for 6, and the next turn I could do this, hit for 8, 9. If I played this turn I hit for 4, but the next turn I played this gets 1 extra bigger, I hit for 9. I think it's similar damage. I think this is a little bit more damage output. Pixel FX plays, thanks for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hooglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. I was talking to a friend about this, and he said Trump was too stupid to realize that people wouldn't consider a global pandemic a personal failing of his, which caused him to make it a personal failing by downplaying it. Yeah. Is the Abzan Dreadfield deck the one we played about? Yes, Fox. It's the one we played yesterday. Got re-added to the queue. How much of a chance do you have at 4 more years of Glorious Leader? Honestly, it's probably a coin flip. To show you, chat, how fair and balanced I am. There's a blast zone there, huh? They're countering this. Okay. Oh, they're not. Oh, they're going to be able to pump this up and then... So they're gonna put this to 2 and then still untap and then they'll blow up. I actually think Mana Confluence would be a great add to this format. If you wanted me to like pick out cards I would like to see added to Historic, I think Mana Confluence would be a great addition. That would be a very, very good addition to the format. For Abzan Field, sounds good, Fox. The bot is a different command. Mana Confluence is a land that taps for a mana of any color, but deals you a damage when it does. You lose life. Polls have generally favored Democrats over Trump by 4 to 8 points. Yeah, they favored Hillary by similar margins, though, right? I feel like part of the problem with polling based on elections involving Trump is that there are a lot of Trump supporters you don't want to be honest about who they're voting for. I feel like polls underestimate shame voting. We add this to Abzan Field 2, we definitely can, Voltic. I appreciate it. Are there millennials that exist that answer phone calls from people they don't know? Do y'all exist? Do human beings in 2020 still answer phone calls from people they don't know? Like, only when I'm bored. There's a good answer. That's what I believe. Only when I'm bored. Yeah, if it's important, they'll leave a message. Just casual 12 looks for fog here. No big deal. Just 12 looks for root snare. Concede. Answer phone calls will enter from my area code. Yes, since my oldest started grade school, I've answered a lot more phone calls than I have in like the last long while. Oh, Shakathi, thank you for the 13 months. Welcome back. I appreciate you keeping me around. Could Questing Beast be okay in the sideboard for these matchups? I feel like fighting this matchup with counter spells is the better choice than Questing Beast. I don't know that we have enough green sources for Quester Sid. I think I only have 13 green mana outside of Unclaimed Territory. Yeah, I only have 13 green plus Territory, which is a little on the low side to cast Quester Sid consistently. Alright, so if they take an extra turn here, I'm going to concede. Because they're going to get to flip search for Azcanta. They have triple reclamation with flip search. Amonkhet is not currently on Arena. However, we're supposed to be getting an Amonkhet remastered set at some point this year. You know, assuming we still have, like, internet and things to have this year. I'm only part joking. It's terrifying. Regarding Hillary, you believe the polls predicted the popular vote margins correctly, but the electoral vote predictions failed. Sure. It did used to be on Arena, Mr. Tasty. However, when they went to open beta and wiped people's accounts, they removed those 4 sets. So Amonkhet and Kaladesh were on Arena before it hit open beta. Which seed is that, Goons? I would be incredibly surprised if God Pharaoh's Gift was not Amonkhet remastered. Like, that's just like one of the sweetest cards. Montana, sweet. Oh yeah, he was, the Montana governor was in, is that Bullock? I think he was on Colbert a couple of times, right? He was in the primary for president at one point. Yeah. They aren't releasing those yet. So, my number one piece of advice for non-programmers is you should never assume something is easy to do in any code base if you haven't looked at the code base yourself. So, I know Amonkhet was on this client at one point, but just because it was there at one point does not mean you should assume it's trivially easy for all of those cards to work again. And as a programmer, if you have seen the code base, it can be tough to predict. Agreed. Agreed. Especially, wait, did I just untap their land? They're gonna cast like a Chemist's Insight? Alright, I deserve that. Listen, chat, I was raising my desk. So, let's pretend I'm Donald Trump for a minute. I would give myself a 10 out of 10 on how I resolved that Merrow Reejerey trigger. I'm pretty sure my response and the actions that I took could not have been more perfect in that instance. Yeah, the trigger resolved. Exactly. Exactly, it resolved. What more do you want from me? Farron Brightmore, thank you for the 2/3 of a year. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Anybody ever notices they're up against the streamer and goes and watches the stream to see their hand? Sure, it happens occasionally. I think stream sniping or ghosting, which are terms for both of those things that you just described, is something that happens a lot less frequently than a lot of people tend to make it out to, but it definitely doesn't happen 0% of the time. If I loot into a lord, they're dead, right? So I should do this to start. Find the 2-mana lord. Sure. Oh yeah, Cabal Therapy and Legacy, all bets were off. All bets were off. I think ghosting's also a little bit more common on Magic the Gathering Online because Magic the Gathering Online is online gambling. So like when you have people directly winning or losing dollars, they're less likely to, they're more likely to be to like get that extra edge in, right? Like the upside of winning a specific arena match is like pretty minimal. You're mostly playing for practice more than anything else. Scale of 1 to dead. What are we working with here? You love to see it, chat. Yeah, unless it's something like the MCQ, which is why, like, you should stream MCQs on delays. And just for the record, just so my position is abundantly clear, if you are a streamer and you care about the match you are playing, you really want to win, and someone ghosts you and you weren't streaming on a delay, you deserve to get ghosted. If you really care, stream on a delay. If your goal is to make good content, care less about the actual match result. That guy's certified. Thanks for doling out a couple of sub gifties. I appreciate the support. Hope you're staying safe in these crazy times. Lovestruck Beast. All right, I'm glad we've got my Hey Diddle Diddles. The cat and the fiddle. The Silvergill Adept jumped over the moon. I'm gonna attack. If they want to block, I'll fart this and it'll be fine. They might block just to get me to use my mana for the turn, but I think I'm okay with that. Because, like, saving the Silvergill Adepts for post-Reejerey means I have more ways to tap down their stuff. The only people ghosting me are my dates. Aww. Well, that's fine. You don't want to see dates right now anyways, right? You know what would probably be a good metric for how seriously people are taking this whole thing? We should pull what Tinder usage metrics have been like for recent months. I feel like if people are actually taking things seriously, that'll be way down. So next turn, we'll go Reejerey, tap your beast, smack you. Interesting, they're thinking about attacking. They think they can race me? Oh, you about to learn you can't race the fish. You gonna swim with the fishes if you try and race, opponent. We're coming for you. From Rutter's Bumble, a leading app said usage stayed steady in line with seasonal trends, while Match Group's OkCupid said it saw an increase in usage among younger daters. Oh god, we're all screwed. I think I just want to untap my own lands here. So this way, if I draw a 2-drop, I can cast it. Ooh, that's fair. Just because they're messaging doesn't mean they're beating up. Look at that. There's still optimists alive in 2020. We're gonna need your kind. You stay strong out there. On the contrary, my Tinder matches are sky high at the moment. However, since I can't see them live anytime soon, I have to Jane Austen that stuff up and kindle the flame online for a month. Yep. Great. I tapped that Lovestruck Beast so hard, chat. And, like, if they want to kill the Reejereys, they lose their Lovestruck Beast, right? Oh, feels Magic the Gathering, man. You know, for all the complaining I heard about Field of the Dead from people on social media, there's been way more Nexus of Fate in our historic laddering experience lately. Nah, I actually think if Nexus isn't overbearing, Historic's a good spot for it to exist. If you find Nexus tedious to play against, you're not alone, just concede the matches to it. In my opinion, decks like Nexus of Fate are good to have in Magic, so long as they're not tier 1. Play patterns like Nexus of Fate are incredibly novel and make lots of players excited to play Magic. I know it's tedious to watch them combo and feel like they weren't 100% to beat you and you conceded, but I think it's good for Magic to support a variety of play styles. And like here, with this Azcanta and this Tamiyo, I'm incredibly unlikely to get another turn. So if they find Nexus here, I'm gonna concede the game is over, almost assuredly. And they found Nexus, so we'll pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. The decks that I've played in this format that feel reasonable, feel like they're close or favored against Nexus of Fate. I've also felt that way about a lot of the Field of the Dead matchups too. Like the game, some of them have close matchups, but it feels like we're competitive against them still. As for this, I feel like this seems pretty reasonable. One card we didn't really get a chance to test out of the sideboard was Deeproot Waters. This is a card that really shines in the mid-range and control matchups by giving you extra value out of every Merfolk you cast. And mid-range and control hasn't been a ton of in the queues recently, and we didn't play against any of it in that set, so didn't really get a chance to see if Deeproot Waters could shine in those appropriate matchups. Overall, just thoroughly reminded at how incredibly powerful this card is. Was really, really impressed with its ability to not only just put a ton of Merfolk into play really quickly by untapping our lands when we cast them, but also that game against Gruul really stands out in my mind as like highlighting the power of what this card has to offer when we were sitting there getting to flood the board with only 3 lands whilst simultaneously tempoing their questing beast. One thing I would have you consider if you're going to work on this deck and try things in the sideboard is there are only 14 blue sources and 13 green sources here. So there is a very real consideration to it's tough to play double blue and double green spells. That's why the only double blue spell I have in the sideboard is Sleep, because that's one you can usually afford not to cast right away till a few turns down the line. Pioneer Merfolk would love this card. It's very good. All right, at any rate, we are going to do a third historic deck today. Going to run a little bit later than we have been. When we take a quick ad break so I can get everything flipped over and restart. When we get back, we are going to try a slightly bigger version of White Devotion Soul Siblings that's splashing red for Embercleave off of Lotus Field. So kind of a quirky idea. We'll be back in just a few with this to see how it ticks. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere. I did like when you put the MTGO format you planned on playing on the schedule because I can't actually catch every stream. So, unfortunately, Fox, my plan for the MTGO formats is to just play whatever's at the top of the queue. So if you want to know what's coming up the next day, look at all the Moto formats all the Moto decks in the queue, and whatever deck has the most points after I update the deck queue at the end of the stream, that's what's getting played the following day. I'm not giving preferential treatment to any